What is up, everyone? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we'll be reacting to how this one man changed an entire sport. It's a Valentino Rossi documentary. I am really looking forward to this. I've done like a couple videos on MotoGP. Obviously I know who Valentino Rossi is. You'd be living under a rock if you didn't know who he was. So even though I don't watch MotoGP, I kind of have an idea of, well, I know who Rossi is, but I don't know like the ins and outs of like how he got to where he was and blah 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 blah. So I'm excited to get into this, especially as someone who's going to try and get into MotoGP next season. I feel like this will be good for me, and I've enjoyed every like MotoGP reaction I've done so far. So I'm looking forward to getting into this one, but before we get into it, make sure you subscribe. Over half of you that watch my videos start subscribed. Just hit the bell, it takes 2 seconds, and if you'd like to become a member on this channel and receive exclusive perks, you can also do it by hitting the join button down below.
Rossi won a staggering 115 Grand Prix races.
Wow.
He stood on the podium
115. 235.
7 different types of motorcycles. And
I know that I'm trying to think who to compare it to, but Lewis Hamilton got like his 200th podium recently, but 235, that's crazy. Insane.
Valentino Rossi entered the World Championships in...
Oh, look at him. That's adorable.
Rossi would entertain the crowds with these unique post-race celebrations, such as dressing up as Robin Hood and shooting an arrow into the crowd after winning the Donington GP. He would wear flashy yellow gear, he had a specially designed sun and moon helmet, and he started branding the number 46 as an identity to his racing career.
Yeah, look at that. I know, because Lando Norris always talks about how he was obsessed with Valentino Rossi and like loved the number 46, and the reason why he uses like neon colors is because of Rossi. So,
and just as he did in the second seasons of the Italian Sport Production Championships and the 125 class, he would go on to dominate the season, winning 9 out of the 15 races, granting him his...
Wow, he just did not stop, did he? Moving from each class, he was just dominating all of them.
Rossi would go on to score 11 wins in his second season, only finishing off the podium 3 times. It was an absolute masterclass in motorcycle.
Yeah, this man just will not stop, will he? I knew he was like a legend in the sport, but now actually finding out all these things, I'm like, damn. This man is a different breed.
He would squash any of those doubts with one of the greatest motorcycling performances that we would ever see at the Phillip Island Grand Prix, when he was given a 10-second penalty for overtaking Marco Melandri under yellow flags due to a crash from Troy Bayliss. After being informed of this penalty, Valentino Rossi laid down the hammer and smoked the field by more than 15 seconds.
More than 15 seconds. So the time penalty didn't even matter. Wow.
Easily win the 2003 title in Malaysia. This would be his 3rd in the Premier class and his 5th world title overall. And as if there was
5th world title overall. Insane.
It off by dropping one of the biggest bombshells ever in the history of motorsports.
Oh no, what's the bombshell?
He was going to be leaving the almighty and powerful Repsol Honda team for the downtrodden Team Yamaha. Now back then,
cruel
to Yamaha. They had only won 2 of the last 39 Grand Prix, and they hadn't secured a world championship since Wayne Rainey in 1992.
Oh, you're about to tell me that Rossi like brought them back? Is this him trying to show that he didn't need a Honda to win?
Shed some more light on just how much of a risk he was taking. We would learn several years later that Yamaha was inches away from folding up their MotoGP operations when they signed Rossi.
No way.
Committed financially to the first 3 races of 2004. They never even told Valentino Rossi that his first 3 races on a Yamaha were make or break for both his career and the future.
What? That's crazy.
Valentino Rossi found just enough speed to clip Max Biaggi at the line and take his very first victory for Team Yamaha.
Wow.
This would make Valentino Rossi the first ever.
So he still put it on the top step. And he didn't need a Honda. I mean, I didn't doubt him for a second after everything that I've been told already. I'm like, okay, he's about to bring this team to a championship, I'm guessing.
Being a newly built circuit in the middle of the desert, the track was struggling to keep sand off the main racing line.
Yeah.
After qualifying, members of Rossi's crew were reported to racing stewards for sweeping sand off of Valentino Rossi's grid spot, which is a clear violation of rules.
But there's sand. Like,
race stewards penalized Rossi.
What?
Start at the back of the grid. And to make matters,
start at the back.
Sete Gibernau had qualified on pole position. Now, Rossi would ride like a man possessed, but ultimately would crash out while riding in.
Oh, he crashed.
And Sete Gibernau would go on to win that race. Now, after the Qatar incident, Rossi let it be known that he felt that Gibernau and his Telefonica movie star team were behind the protest that led him to being penalized. Valentino was so angry that he swore as long as he was in Grand Prix racing that Gibernau would never win another race. And unfortunately for Sete Gibernau, this would become true.
No way. I just got chills. That's incredible. He's like God himself. Are you kidding?
I don't have to tell you what happens with second seasons in Valentino Rossi. He proved to be even more dominant than...
Did he now? How can you get even more dominant from there?
But that was about to change when a new legend would emerge in the form of Casey Stoner.
Oh, really?
Casey Stoner was in his second Grand Prix season, and he had just signed a deal with Ducati, and Rossi simply had no answer for Casey Stoner. Everything that he threw at Stoner that season that had worked on previous riders for years just wouldn't cut it with Stoner. After losing 4 of 6 races, Rossi tried everything he could to shut down Stoner's momentum at Catalunya. And despite his best efforts, Rossi was beaten hands down, leaving him to say after the race that Stoner rides like a god. And Stoner would even...
Oh. If Rossi himself has said that you're riding like a god, gotta be special.
Now, Stoner would overtake Rossi on the entrance to the infamous corkscrew, only to see Valentino Rossi pass him in the dirt. And this was another all-out Hail Mary pass that we had come to see from Valentino Rossi. Valentino would go on to win his 100th Grand Prix race, becoming only the second rider in history to surpass 100 total wins, placing him second all-time behind the 122 victories of Grand Prix racing legend Giacomo Agostini. Rossi would go on to finish first in the championship with 306 points, 72 clear of second place Jorge.
He got his 9th. What?
Dominant year for Team Yamaha. But it wouldn't come this time from Rossi. It would come from his teammate Jorge Lorenzo. Jorge's inch-perfect precision and his...
Oh, not a battle between teammates. This could always go wrong.
The year would get worse for Valentino when during his home Grand Prix in Mugello, Italy, Rossi would high-side his Yamaha in one of the fast right-left-hand combinations.
Ouch.
He would suffer a displaced compound fracture of his right tibia. Now, this crushed any hopes of him winning the 2010 title, and it was the first time that Rossi would be missing a Grand Prix race in his career.
No way.
But as the saying goes, you can't keep a good man down. And just
back on a bike 19 days after. What? Are you alright? What are you doing? Superhuman stuff when athletes do this. They like injure themselves and then just like, especially in motorsport, they just carry on driving. I'm like, huh? What?
that year, Marquez would do a Rossi on Rossi by passing him in the corkscrew in the dirt during the United States Grand Prix. But at the Dutch round, Rossi would break his 46-long race winless streak by recording his very first MotoGP win since Malaysia in 2010. Rossi would end up finishing fourth that year in the championship with 237 points.
You know who this is reminding me of? Lewis Hamilton. Just the fact that they went from winning to then having like 2 years where they weren't winning and then he got a win again. That's just happened to Lewis. Everything else is like wins, like, no, they're probably not similar as a person, but I mean like they just went from winning so much to then having like 2 years where they weren't winning and then got a win again.
To this day, the feud between Marquez and Rossi still continues. And unfortunately for Valentino, that would be the closest he would ever come to clinching a world title again. He would win 2 races in 2016, and then he would take his last Grand Prix victory in 2017 at the Assen circuit. But from 2017 up to announcing his retirement in 2021, Rossi was never able to recapture his magic as Father Time would catch up with him, and a younger Marc Marquez would continue to rule the MotoGP landscape, and the up-and-coming crop of younger, hungrier riders would prove to be too much for Rossi. It's a delicate decision for any all-time great to call it quits and retire from their sport.
Yeah.
Some retire way too early, leaving fans to wonder what could have been, while some all-time greats stay.
That's why I'm not ready for Lewis to leave. Lewis Hamilton to leave. I can't.
If we were just looking at statistics, one could easily say that LeBron James is the greatest basketball player that ever lived.
Okay,
but
fair.
you watch some video of Michael Jordan playing basketball, and you tell me who you think's the best of all time. And that's how it was with Valentino Rossi. You had to see it to believe it.
Yeah.
Because he was the greatest clutch rider.
I was going to say, sometimes the statistics don't do it justice compared to when you actually watch the footage.
He's square in the mouth, totally dominated him, and then went home. Rossi rarely dominated a race, and that was the beauty of it. He was often lurking in second or third with just a few.
I love that though. There's always a constant battle, like it wasn't just constantly at the front.
He's given back to the sport by creating the VR Racing Academy to groom younger talent. And
Oh, I love that. So he's like still giving back to the sport.
all that matters is that you and I were lucky enough to be alive and witness what a true, once-in-a-lifetime great looks like. Because chances are you're never going to see the likes of him again.
Oh, I got chills. Well, I absolutely loved that. That's all I need to say about that. End the video there. I found that incredible. I still have chills going all over my body right now. I can't believe that. Like I said before the video, I obviously knew who Valentino Rossi was, but name aside, I didn't know like his career like leading up to now. Obviously know that he's not in like MotoGP anymore, but all of his achievements and stuff, I didn't know that, and the fact that he's like still giving back to the sport now even though he's retired is incredible. And it wasn't just his achievements, like he wasn't just like performing on track, he was also performing off track, and it seemed like a great like entertainment for everyone. So yeah, that was really good to watch, especially like me, who I've never watched MotoGP before. I've seen like clips here and there, and I worked it at Silverstone last year. I worked the MotoGP over the Silverstone weekend, but that's it. That's all I've seen over like about MotoGP. So for someone who's going to try and get into it next season, that was incredible to watch. The video is like 40 minutes long, but it felt like it was like 10 minutes. I was just enjoying every little bit of that. So yeah. Big thank you to people who requested this video. And with that being said, if you have any other videos that you'd like me to react to, drop them in the comments. I'm working my way through everybody's suggestions at the moment. If you did want to check out any of my other socials, they are all linked down below. And if you want to become a member on this channel and receive exclusive perks, you can also do that by hitting the join button down below. But I hope you enjoyed today's reaction, and I will catch you next time for the next one. Bye!